Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. Today we're going to talk about EQUALIZER, the TV show, and potentially the upcoming film that's going to be out at some time in the future. So, the EQUALIZER, in case you haven't seen it, which I'm sure you must have done if you're watching this video, but tells the story of Robert McCall, who was an ex-CIA, or did
CIA,
ex-CIA agent who is an Englishman living in New York, as the song goes.
Played by Edward Woodward.
Yeah, but ex-battled by Edward Woodward. And basically he's kind of retired essentially from the CIA. And he feels like he needs to sort of make amends because of shady goings on with him when he used to work for the company, as it's known. And he essentially becomes a vigilante, I suppose, to really, but he's almost like he puts an ad in the paper sort of offering to help people. Not normally for any money, but I suppose sometimes it must have been. And then various people would sort of call out different sort of problems, and he would equalise the odds to see.
It's mainly problems, like where people are getting unwanted attention from like muscle or whatever, basically because they owe money or something, and somebody's been dealt a bad hand and is being mistreated by somebody or something. He will sort of step in, and some of it sort of delves back into his CIA past, doesn't it?
So the EQUALIZER ran for 4 seasons, and it was very, very successful. So much so when they were out filming the EQUALIZER, I mean, people would come up to the actor Edward Woodward and try and ask him to help them with different problems. So much so where he actually used to have to carry around, the Samaritans' phone number and things like that to give to people, because people would just almost associate him so much with the character. So what worked about the EQUALIZER? Why was it so popular, and why is it still sort of like remembered fondly today? Why was it, why are we talking about it right now?
Well, I think it was the story. The storylines were good, and it was like, I think primarily Edward Woodward was
he's very good
as the
It's kind of like, in a way, it's almost like a bit more adult themed A-Team, because they did a similar sort of thing where they help people.
It's a bit more gritty, obviously.
It's more gritty, and it's more adult, I suppose. But I think the storylines are good, and you have various different characters that pop in that help him, like that Mickey Koshmeyer.
Yeah.
Plus, you had a lot of like actors, didn't you, that popped up as well that probably weren't famous at the time. But they were like.
But then why would you watch?
Stars,
You wouldn't watch it then for that particular actor. I mean, to me, I think part of the appeal. I mean, I think Edward Woodward obviously was a massive part of it.
I've always liked him.
But I think actually the settings, like New York in the 80s was a nasty place, really. It was potentially quite a very dangerous place in certain areas, at least.
And it shows that very well, doesn't it? Because it is very dirty and dark.
It seems very impressive, and it does seem genuinely a scary place, doesn't
Especially the opening titles.
Yeah, I mean that was the music. Actually, that's a good point. The music, I think, was also fantastic. Stuart Copeland, who did, although he didn't do the later seasons or the latest season, I can't remember how many they were, but basically Stuart Copeland did the music for the majority of it. I think they kept the title music, but in music, I think certainly in the last season, it may have been the 3rd season as well. But that was also good. But I think it was having that sort of, obviously, Edward Woodward being English as well, kind of made him stand out. And obviously having an action hero where he was that old was kind of, I mean, back in those days, I can't really think of anything else where you had that, to be honest with you. You essentially had obviously based in America, so it's essentially a foreign old man being essentially an action hero.
I suppose if you revert back to the 18, I suppose you had they were, like Hannibal.
Yeah, I suppose,
getting on a bit and stuff. You could say that, but
but he was supported by a team of younger people.
Yeah, but he is supported by some people, isn't he? Robert McCall.
But sometimes he isn't.
Not
I mean,
always.
he acts primarily as a sort of
a
solo figure. I mean, you think the other way I think
because of his training and everything.
Yeah.
He's obviously he was a CIA agent, so he's not somebody who can be crossed, or he knows his stuff and he knows how to handle himself.
I think his
portraying.
portrayal of being someone who is, despite his age, is still intimidating. And you think, if you ever watch it, there's not actually a hell of a lot of action in it.
No.
If you watch the Equalizer now, you know they always had that sort of snippet at the beginning. Do you remember? So when you first watch it, they kind of give you a few clips of what was coming up in the episode. And that pretty much showed you all of the action that was actually going to be in the episode.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but there's actually on most episodes there's very little actual action.
You could call it maybe it's more of a drama then, really.
Yeah.
Than a you know.
So,
it's more of a drama.
So, I mean, do you have a particular episode? I know you guys maybe have not watched it that recently, but do you have a particular episode that was kind of sticks? What you're thinking about? I was saying my favourite episode. I got two favourite episodes. One was called Cold Black Soul, and that's basically where there's a guy who is, I think it's the second season, that one, and he's essentially a serial killer, and he's the one that actually calls Robert McCall, and he sort of draws like a silhouette of like a black figure above his victims, and he sort of wants Robert McCall to stop him, and I thought it was quite a genuinely creepy episode, and it was like, to me, sort of Robert McCall's sort of reactions to it was kind of quite despairing of him.
I remember one. I think it was the first series, and there was a vigilante guy, and he was posing as the, he was killing people, posing as the Equalizer, and then that was a good one because he was getting the heat from the police, like, and he had to clear his name. Basically, that was a good episode. I can't remember what it was called, but I do remember that one.
I can't remember any. I haven't seen it for a long time, to be honest. No.
My other favourite episode, I suppose, is the one where he has to go. I don't remember the name of the episode, but he goes into school, and he's essentially trying to sort of almost. I can't remember how he ends up there, but he goes into like a sort of high school, and there's like a very rough high school, and he's sort of trying to teach this group of like unruly sort of teenagers, about the sort of mortality ultimately. And that was a good episode. I enjoyed that episode. Now, it was announced some time ago that they're going to remake The Equalizer as a motion picture, and Denzel Washington has been cast as I think they're recasting him as Robert McCall rather than having him a new character. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I just think, again, they're obviously want to make money. And I just think they should just leave it as it is. It was great with Edward Woodward. I think he'd be good, but I just think leave it alone basically.
See, I mean, I think that's a property that is okay for a remake.
Yeah, I think it is, but I don't think maybe Denzel Washington shouldn't play Robert McCall.
Why?
Well, because Robert McCall was Edward Woodward played Robert McCall.
Yeah, but you can't have Ed. He's dead.
No, I know that, but play somebody else who.
So you're saying
that
that
it kind of just
Denzel Washington could play, but not Robert McCall.
Yeah, because basically, what does it say about you've had all these 4 series with Edward Woodward, and I know obviously they can't make any more because he's dead, but then they're sort of saying right now, you've got Denzel Washington playing him, so it kind of like says the other ones are irrelevant. In a way, because it's just kind of.
But that's what reboots are. I mean, it's not saying that.
I know. I mean, it would. I don't know. I don't like it when they play around with things like that.
Potentially, I think a good person to play that would be Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
To play the character, maybe. I think you need, if he's going to play Robert McCall, I think you need a white man. To be honest, I'm not being racist, but because Edward Woodward is white, basically.
See, I think
Denzel Washington.
I don't actually have a problem being in black, to be honest, but I think he should have been English.
Yeah.
I would have been happy with, like, what's his name? Idris, or maybe he's a bit young to be fair. Idris Elba, who was in Prometheus and that. Because, being an English actor, to me, that's part of what made it. I don't necessarily care whether it's black or white, but, Liam Neeson would be my first pick.
Yeah,
because he's obviously he's Irish,
but he's Northern Irish, so technically he still is British.
I'm sure he could, if need be, he could do a British accent.
I just think they change things all the time. It's kind of like a black American. I'm not racist in any way, but I just think
They always say that.
I just think the continuity, the whole thing, it just messes it up, and I think they're always playing around. You just let the Equalizer was very good, as the series, and just leave it as that.
I think if they cast Denzel Washington because he is a kind of respected actor. Does that make sense? They wanted to go for someone.
I like Denzel Washington, but I don't think he should play Robert McCall.
No.
That's
I think the problem if you have him playing a different character, say you had him playing a different character, not Robert McCall, but doing the same thing.
It's difficult to link it.
Yeah, because you're saying, hang on, you've got another CIA agent who's doing exactly the same thing as Robert McCall. And to be quite honest with you, one thing I don't know if they're setting it in the 80s or whether they're setting it in
It'd probably be contemporary, wouldn't it? I'd imagine.
But if you could, would you really have the same CIA agent in the same city do exactly the same thing, take out and calling himself the Equalizer? You couldn't have it as a different character without changing it so much. It wouldn't be the Equalizer.
I think
so. The only way to go would be to actually make it him, Robert McCall.
I think it could work. It could work with the right casting. To be fair, I mean, I think I could think of a few others that would be better than Denzel Washington. To be honest, but like you say, if you wanted to go down the English kind of road, like I say, maybe Liam Neeson, maybe even like Daniel Craig or something like that.
He's too young though, isn't he?
Yeah, I suppose.
Too young.
But
I mean, that's the thing. To rebuild it to me. I mean, I suppose I don't know how Denzel Washington is, but he's probably younger than Edward Woodward was when he.
He's in his 50s, I'd say. Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
but Edward Woodward was probably in his late 50s,
mid 50s. I'd say Edward Woodward. He made it.
So, I think Liam Neeson's probably. I mean, Harrison Ford might have been a good choice. To be honest with you, I know he's not English, but he's obviously a respected actor that is of that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think you should. To me, what makes the Equalizer work is that almost someone you wouldn't expect to be sort of a hero because he is.
I'd imagine if they were to sort of reboot it, they would probably go down the more brutal kind of violent kind of film. I would imagine, rather than like you said with the TV series, more talking than action. I'd imagine it'd be quite.
Well, you think going back to TV when it did have action, I know there wasn't a lot of action in it, but sometimes it was. He didn't take any shit. Basically, he was. He would basically murder someone if that's what it came down to. So.
Is this planned? Soon then. This film?
Well, they've got he's been cast into watching, so that's in the bag as far as I know, and they have a director now, I believe. So. I would imagine probably see it 2014, 2015, something like that.
See, going back, I don't know. I all this thing with Denzel Washington. It's like I hate it when they get a really good film, which is classic, and they remake it, or obviously this is a series, and they change it. It's like like a Conan film. Why I like the classic Schwarzenegger Conan films. Why redo it? Just leave it. I know it's all about money at the end of the day, but I think just leave it. I think it taints things basically.
When you remake films?
Yeah, and it's never as good as the original. Very rarely. Some films are.
But I think you can make some. You can reboot. There's some properties that maybe you shouldn't like. You wouldn't want to.
That Total Recall, again. For me, I just think it. Without Arnie in it, I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me.
Did you see it?
I've seen it. Yeah. That's what I'm playing.
But what about? I mean, to me, there's some properties. I mean, Equalizer hasn't had a presence for a very long time.
No.
So to me, that is something you could remake.
If you look at some of these TV series that they have remade before, like A-Team and
A-Team,
other stuff. Well, these stuff like Starsky and Hutch, and they've all been absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To be honest,
Starsky and Hutch.
The A-Team wasn't that bad. Primarily because I think the only thing that really saved the A-Team was Liam Neeson, in my opinion. But you think a lot of these they've done Dukes of Hazzard, and they've all been
crap.
Yeah, basically. So but I actually think that there's enough material with Equalizer.
Yeah, I think
it might be good.
Potentially it'd be a good film, but I just don't feel.
Plus, it's not as it's not as kind of well known, is it?
No.
It's
And
more cult.
that almost makes it a bit better to sort of, because I suppose you could have your own vision of it, which is what I think they've done in regards to casting Denzel Washington, because obviously the core fans of it, I think, will always be, you're going to want the most like Edward Wood as you can possibly get. But they, you know, to me, the new Equalizer film is almost going to, I don't worry about too much about the other just the series. There's just going to be a whole new franchise to get new fans into it. Whilst we're not really going to worry too much about the other people.
Try not to compare it, just to really.
Yeah. But again,
like
I
it for what
suppose
it is.
I suppose again, it's like they're going down the road with an American style because it's obviously going to be produced by American.
Well, it was American series to begin with, even though it was an English actor.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think he happened to be living in America at the time. That was why. Even though I don't think he necessarily went over there specifically to make that.
Well, I think I mean, as far as I know, the creators of the actual TV show actually had to sort of almost really try and convince the networks that for them to have, you know, Edward Wood. I think they wanted someone American and someone younger, but he had to sort of fight. From what I've seen on, you know, a couple of like the documentaries I've watched and stuff, they had to sort of the creators of the actual show really had to sort of like fight for Edward Woodward, saying like, this is the vision that I see and we wanted him to do it rather than kind of like a typical sort of younger, you know.
Because I think at the time he wasn't like he was like, because really he was a TV star anyway. Wasn't he? He'd done a few films here and there. But
Well, he had that Callum, wasn't that 60s 60s show and stuff, which is in a way quite a similar role.
Yeah, that was quite good.
But anyway, leave us your thoughts. Should they make it? They are going to, apparently. I mean, it's still in pre-production, but should they remake The Equalizer? And who would you cast as the perfect Edward Woodward? Or would you cast a different character as, you know, just another Equalizer? Leave us a comment and we'll see you next time on Geek Legion of Doom. See you later.